welcome to the Royal Rumble preview. I'm Adam Wilbourn from What Culture, joined by another one of the Dudley boys, Michael Hamflett from What Culture, to look ahead to this weekend's Royal Rumble Premium Live event. But before we get into it, if you're a fan of this sort of thing, make sure you subscribe to What Culture Wrestling on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Amazon Music, and YouTube, where we do daily wrestling podcasts, where we not only review Raw, but also SmackDown, the show formerly known as NXT 2.0. AEW Dynamite, AEW Collision, pay-per-views, premium live events. We have interviews, roundtable discussions, and a roundup of the week, complete with a quiz, of course, on Wrestle Culture. As I said, they're joined by Hamflett to look ahead to Royal Rumble this weekend. We'll be doing the live stream for it on Saturday night. Very unpredictable, this. It's arguably one of the most both unpredictable Rumbles in memory. I think it feels like the women's one is kind of down to probably 2 names, whereas the men's 4, 5 names potentially.
Massive it is. We flash back to 2022 when I said repeatedly that Triple H should probably be judged as the lead creative boss of WWE by his Rumble to WrestleMania season, which, other than a disagreement we won't have today about how he stuck the landing at WrestleMania 39.
Let it play out, yeah.
Yeah, I'm really trying, and I think you are too at this point. That ultimately this would be the kind of like defining period of his first sort of like 6 months, I guess, as head booker, for the want of a better phrase, as head booker. A year later, and he's in the job and in it all the way. So there's no, like, at this point, the wrestlers that are on screen are the ones that he has chosen. The stories that they're currently telling, the ones that he suggested. Even when he mines from backstories predating his taking over the job, it's all things that he's chosen to use. There is no version of the old WWE and all of its creative foibles and wrestlers that were being pushed that he didn't like. It's Triple H's WWE, and I think that's why, to his credit as a creative voice, that's why this Rumble feels as unpredictable. Certainly one of the most unpredictable we've had in years and years, because it should. It's not even just 30 people now. There are 60 people vying for 2 spots. Now, I know that there are 2 world titles in each division, in the men's and women's, but winning the Royal Rumble and being able to call your shot and pick your champion is the first glimpse of WrestleMania. It happens on the PLE itself. Somebody stands on that post, they point at the sign, or the celebrators, the commentators go wild. The words and the phrasings are main event of WrestleMania, even if, as we've seen, that it doesn't always necessarily play out like that. This is the first opportunity. So right now, in the immediate aftermath of the Royal Rumble, those people that you were looking at are the people that are going to be going into WrestleMania with all the focus and the glow.
Their ticket's punched at that point, isn't it?
Their ticket is punched. That is a phrase they use. And I think, to your point about, especially in the men's, we'll talk about the women's in a second, but especially with the men's and there being these maybe 4, 5, even 6 names that could theoretically win it, the idea that 6 from 30 could punch their ticket to the biggest match of the wrestling year is where you have to give credit to Triple H and to the wrestlers themselves for putting the WrestleMania picture in such rude health. It's quite amazing, and that's why we all used to get excited about the Rumble before the gimmick itself was sort of the only reason to get buzzed. It's indestructible. The mid-2010s proved it. Yeah. The mid-2010s proved that it is indestructible, but what you ideally want is a Rumble like this year's, where you've got the good gimmick plus the good booking.
Let's start with the Women's Royal Rumble. We'll top and tail it with the Rumble matches. First and foremost, who you got winning?
Becky Lynch. I love Bayley, unashamedly so, dating back to sort of the 2014-2015 NXT Golden era. And I think more of that is coming back, by the way. And I'm excited to see that side pony return and the wacky waving arm flare inflatable tube men make their triumphant return for WrestleMania. But I'm going to go with Becky Lynch. The booking of the Women's Rumble has been poor.
Yes.
Realistically, they've not. It's the opposite of the men's, where they've lined up a bunch of contenders and then a bunch of outsiders. They've barely lined up a bunch of entrants for this one.
Yeah, they've got right time of recording. We've got effectively 4 contenders: Bayley, Nia, Becky, Bianca, and then Maxine Dupree and Ivy Nile, who I love, but are there just as numbers.
Yeah, and they've not even really tried to fool you into anything else on television. There was a promo on Raw this week where Becky Lynch and Nia Jax went face to face and were interrupted by Bayley, and it's like, blimey, you even need somebody from SmackDown to come on and credibly speak about this on Raw. I like the idea of Becky Lynch winning, not just because I think it is the last thing she kind of needs to do to reaffirm herself as the top star in the division. Like, she did it on the quiet last year. it's one thing to be a Rhea Ripley and become this massive star. It's one thing, as Becky Lynch did, to main event WrestleMania back in 2019. But it's another to do what she did last year. I compared it to Bret Hart quite a lot. Sometimes being the top star is looking like you're not the top star. She went down to NXT and drew. She had kick-ass matches that brought people along. She had that feud with Trish that sagged, and then when they got in the ring together, it was golden.
Yes.
Like, Becky Lynch had a low-key great 2023 when almost never really being considered at the tippy top of the card. This is the confirmation. This is the validation for all that good work and confirmation that she's on the way back. And I love the Nia Jax element of this. The fact that Becky can get maybe a modicum of revenge in the Rumble by possibly eliminating Nia, but it's not that win. It's not that big win. It's not that vindication of 5 years ago, nor the vindication of 5 weeks ago when Nia smashed her face in. And I fancy Nia Jax to get the shot at Rhea at the Elimination Chamber, leading Becky Lynch to think, well, who do I even want to win this? I've got to either conquer Rhea Ripley, the unstoppable and indestructible Rhea Ripley at WrestleMania, or I've got to conquer my biggest demon in Nia Jax.
My head agrees with you. My heart says Bayley. Ever since someone suggested Bayley doing the Batista thing of the Kabuki Warriors win the tag titles, Io's obviously champion, Dakota's there, she can speak Japanese, they're all talking Japanese together, and the agreement is, look, Damage Control are going to run everything across both brands. You're going to go to Raw and you're going to take out Rhea Ripley, and then we're going to hold all the golds. And then she reveals that she actually knows Japanese. She's been learning it secretly. You suggested this first, I should give you credit. And Io's the person she's coming for, and the Bayley buddies are back and what have you. Yeah. I even got the spot of Becky Lynch almost gets eliminated, but she holds on. Don't worry, it's fine. She's got a hand on the top rope. She pulls herself back onto the apron, or back standing on the apron, and gets hit with a Nia Jax right hand KO. See you later. Because I'll circle back to something later. Elimination Chamber is going to be the crowning of 2 title challenges, and I quite like marrying the two of them together to make it feel big time.
Yeah.
In terms of surprise entrance, there's one name that you and I are desperate to see this year.
Light it up, light it the sky. AJ Lee, for a number of reasons, should maybe be kicking around WWE.
Yes.
One of them being that I think she's massively missed by the fan base. There's a weird nostalgia for AJ Lee specifically from an otherwise pretty terrible era of women's wrestling in WWE, and I completely get why. I lived through it. She fought to be credible in an era and in a time when the booking didn't, ultimately. I remember her getting the tattoo of the date of her first Divas title win on her neck and her being mocked on television for that, because how dare you take professional pride in the thing that you do. And yes, the belt was a butterfly, and yes, too many people didn't take the Divas division seriously, but she did. And the work was good, not always great, but again, not always given the platform to do so. It takes your mind to the likes of Michelle McCool being bollocked for, quote, wrestling like the men. Like AJ Lee definitely fell into that category. She connected. She massively, massively connected with people. That gimmick did. And was put in kind of an untenable situation in 2014 when everything that happened with CM Punk did. She wrestled her last match at the night after WrestleMania 31 in 2015. And what did she do? She wore a Bayley t-shirt. Said, I'm a hugger. Bayley was then just on NXT, and she was already trying to shout out the next generation, the people that she could see were going to try and carry like the work that she and a few others had done on. Now, of course, CM Punk is back. He's going to feature hugely in this Royal Rumble. I've speculated that he might even have AJ Lee inspired gear if she herself is not in the Rumble. But we've seen the videos of them training together. AJ Lee did stuff for heels, I believe, to get herself back into ring shape. It doesn't need to be a contract. It doesn't need to be forever. But as a for now pop, I don't think there's many bigger on the night that you'd get.
What do you reckon the likelihood of Naomi returning, Sasha Banks returning, Trish Stratus making an appearances?
All as possible as they are not. Trinity wrestled on Impact, I think just last night as we record this, but all the rumours and the stories are that she is indeed done with TNA. Sasha Banks felt like there was one foot already planted in AEW, and yet she hasn't landed. Trish Stratus would be a nice slot in for a WrestleMania match should anybody be short of an opponent, and Bianca Belair seems to be. And I tell you what I love about Trish in the Rumble is Trish would be making her return to television for the first time since losing to Becky Lynch in the cage and making an enemy of her friend Zoe Stark. So there's two immediate things that you can have a sort of get into fights about. But I love the idea of Trish coming out like number whatever, kind of arrogant, maybe claims a bit of Deadwood. She's like, right, I'm back. I think I pointed the sign. I think I'm going to WrestleMania. And then the very next entrant being Lita and Trish forgetting that it was her that she turned on to set this new path in her career, her former best friend, and just have them brawl. Maybe Lita eliminates her.
Or if not Lita, taking out Trish Stratus, potentially setting up a big WrestleMania match, Tiffany Stratton.
Tiffany Stratton, for me, should be the call-up like at the Rumble. One of the big stories coming out of the Rumble. She, throwback. We talked about this a little bit on our NXT review, which you can still get wherever you get your pods. Kind of a throwback to the way that it would go in the 80s in the territory system. You win the title, you fight everybody big in the territory, then you go and pretend to clean a ranch, slip in horse dung and fall into a bath, and then you're never seen again. Like, I remember all the greats travelled around that territory map in the 80s the exact same way. Stratton's in that boat, and it's now time for what? And it's now time for her to get the call and stay there.
Yes.
She is, maybe has the Iron Woman run, enters early, gets the reaction, quietly builds up a few elimination, gets eliminated, but has shown herself on night one to be somebody that the whole division needs to be worried about.
Finally, before we move on, we have to mention Jade Cargill. Is this the time?
I don't think there's anything better. I don't think there is a better match or a better moment or a better place.
I think it'd arguably be more surprising if she doesn't appear.
Agree. It doesn't... I've seen Jade Cargill wrestle, 50, 60 matches? Whatever that... Maybe I'm exaggerating there, but like her entire TBS title run, it was not always fantastic, but it was rarely terrible.
Yeah.
And I understand why Triple H would have used, we're not quite sure where she's at yet, as a bit of a delaying tactic. But we've seen enough of her to know that she can do more than enough.
Yes.
No matter how many bump drills they want to give her in Performance Centre. And she's an absolute megastar. As a number 30 or a number 29, a late entrant, something like that, she wouldn't even need to do a lot, but could make a massive impact.
I like the idea of Nia Jax saying, the only way you can get me out is when you all team up to get rid of me. No one is strong enough to just take me on one-on-one. Jade Cargill comes out.
And as well, you don't need to know a theme. That's one of the benefits. Like, the Rumble has suffered from this last couple of years. When people don't know the themes, you don't get the pops.
Yeah.
But Jade flashing up on the LED screens, be huge.
Logan Paul, Kevin Owens, US title. Any chance of a title change here for you?
I thought there was. I go back and forth on this one. I can't make my mind up. But I thought Kevin Owens was going to beat him. And then I think your enthusiasm for the fight they had in the Performance Centre has made me think that Logan Paul is actually going to retain. I think the match will be strong. We're recording this before SmackDown, but we speculated on the prospect of maybe a no-holds-barred or falls count anywhere element being added because obviously the fight couldn't be contained. And there's a bit of law. Kevin Owens had was it a last man standing with Roman in this very building where the Rumble's taking place at the Thunderdome Rumble in 2021, where of course he infamously got hit with a golf cart at speed.
And Paul Heyman couldn't work handcuffs.
That's right, yeah, that was excruciating, actually. I want that to happen again. I want Logan Paul to commandeer like it. You know those golf carts but that are there to promote drinks? So like a big Prime bottle on the top. Like he just speeds into shots.
Like the Red Bull car?
Yeah. Huge Prime bottle, like plows over Kevin Owens or something like that. But then later on in the match, Kevin Owens recovers and he takes the big Prime bottle off the golf cart and smashes Logan Paul in the face with it.
I was going to suggest Kevin Owens gets handcuffed. They do a last man standing for no apparent reason. And Kevin Owens gets handcuffed to one of the Gordas, right? Mm-hmm. Probably not a good idea, this, considering Logan Paul wants to promote Prime, but he pours it on the handcuffs and it melts them.
Very good. I thought you were going to have it be something like where, if you want to promote it, like he's, I'm going to have to drink it. He drinks it, it's like a Popeye, and he's so strong he just bursts out the handcuffs. And then it's like, actually, this Prime's kind of goated. Yeah. It's not.
It is. It's absolutely delicious. It's good for you, kids. And Logan Paul's a good guy, so... I think we both agree, though. Yeah, Logan Paul does kind of hold this US title till WrestleMania. Kevin Owens has got a sort of, not an excuse, but if Logan Paul and some of his arsehole mates also get involved and he targets the injured hand, wrist, whatever it is.
The hand story's nice.
Yeah.
Genuinely good. Logan Paul having the high ground about how you can't wear that support, Kevin. You know you're using it as a weapon. Logan, mate, you've got an entire robot fist inside under your skin. I quite like that.
Let's talk the four-way. Undisputed WWE Universal Championship. Roman Reigns versus Randy Orton versus AJ Styles versus Roman has to leave as champion. I get people say Randy Orton could do legacy stuff with Cody and that frees Roman up to do stuff with The Rock and what have you. Mm-hmm. You and I are sticking with our WrestleMania 40 plans we've had for quite some time now, I sense.
Yeah.
And that requires Roman to leave as champion.
It does. I know it's predictable, but sometimes predictable is good and predictable is important. I think anybody else winning this match at the Royal Rumble before the big WrestleMania would fall about as flat as AJ Styles thinks the earth is. Like, it can't end here. It just can't. Which obviously put them in a predicament, I suppose, where you want to create one last hurdle for Roman, which is why I'm in support of there being 4. I just think it's something different. I think it's something different to look at. We've seen the Roman Reigns formula almost stretched to breaking point with the LA Knight title defense. Not bad, but just nowhere near on a level emotionally as the likes of Sami Zayn, Cody Rhodes, even Logan Paul.
Yeah.
There was kind of a master of his domain in that sort of singles environment, and LA Knight felt like it was about as far as you could stretch it. They'll all run him close individually. We still have time for the SmackDown general manager, can't remember his name, to add stipulations that maybe put Roman in a bit more peril.
Yeah.
Whether that be the challengers can only pin Roman, whether that be Solo and Jimmy banned from ringside, all that kind of stuff. But I've said it in a million different podcasts, and I think it's because I just want to manifest it. A parade of finishers that ends with Randy Orton hitting RKO and Roman seizing the moment and hitting him with a spear and a Superman punch, whatever, and just surveying the pile of bodies and smashing, stacking, and having an even bigger tower, as if to illustrate the mountain that the Royal Rumble winner or number one contender has to climb if they ever want to beat this man and finally dethrone him.
Yeah, it feels, they talked about saving the Randy Orton match. I have no idea when that happens one-on-one with Roman, but it feels like...
Not Elimination Chamber, apparently.
No, it's a lot easier to book with 4 people in, weirdly, because you can have them all basically have Roman beat, blunt force trauma, phenomenal forearm, RKO. Each of them stops the other one from pinning it. That can potentially set up AJ versus LA Knight or whatever you want to do with that. You've already had the false finish that you can set up off the back of last week's SmackDown with the spear into the RKO.
Make it a sprint as well, too, by the way.
Yeah.
10 minutes of all of this and no fat.
I really want to see the old kick out into a low blow. I want that to be reminded as a bit of a signature of Roman Reigns as we head on the road to WrestleMania. Yeah. But yeah, he has to win. I think possibly capitalizing off an RKO. I don't know if he actually pins Randy or if he, Randy RKO's a flying AJ Styles who's going to phenomenal forearm Roman, let's say.
Yeah.
LA Knight's been taken out by
that's
Solo
a nice
Sikoa
spot,
or whatever. And then he goes, thanks very much, and hoys him out of there and steals one. But yeah, it's not going to be the dominant victor as much as I also agree that that's a good spot, but it visually isn't the same as what's actually happened in terms of this dominant victory. He's just been very opportunistic.
I think I can get the storyline element of Roman looking like he's kind of running out of lives as well. I was very much of the opinion that Cody had to win last year because it was Roman at his best. And I do see that the bloodline is starting to crumble and fall. And Roman just eking out a victory in a 4-way kind of positions him at his weakest yet. So it does leave him as a target for the Rumble winner or whoever.
Unless there's a spot where Roman gets hit with a blunt force trauma, turns around into a phenomenal forearm from AJ Styles, who's taken LA Knight out as part of this, by the way, climbs on top, 1, 2, LA Knight pulls AJ Styles out of the ring, or vice versa.
Yeah,
works.
I like that.
Roman turns around into an RKO, and it's like, oh God, AJ's over there, LA's over there, and Solo has to save Roman again. Jimmy's been taken out by Jay in the Rumble, or is getting ready for the Rumble, or whatever you want to do. Maybe even as we pitched on the SmackDown preview, Solo's interference costs him a spot in the Rumble. Aldis has said, if you interfere in that match, you're not in the Rumble anymore.
Yeah, stakes. I like the idea of stakes and consequences for the bloodline. It's been missing for a while.
But yeah, he's holding that title all the way to WrestleMania 40. But Michael Hamflett, who wins the Rumble to challenge for a world title at WrestleMania 40 for you?
I can still feel the adrenaline in my soul, so that's why I'm saying Cody Rhodes.
Ooh.
We
disagree again.
I love that. I love that. I don't even think we're disagreeing, as we often have to for the sake of making this video a bit more interesting. I love that WWE have offered you several finishes. I love that the Sports Illustrated article that sent us all into a bit of a tizzy has basically taken all the pairings from Raw and said, well, this is happening. Because it's not even like you have to visualize them in your head. They happened. Cody and Punk happened. Gunther and Seth happened. The Rock buried Jinder Mahal and made Roman happen.
Yes.
Like it's not that these don't exist already.
My other favourite thing about that is people saying, well, I don't believe a word this journalist says. And then when another journalist debunks Paul Justin Barrasso of Sports Illustrated, they go, there we go. There's a proper journalist right there. It's like, well, hang on 1 second. We can't have it both ways.
Which way is it? Yeah. Like, and it's all of it or it's none of it. It's who knows what. And I don't mind that as a way to sort of generate the interest and the intrigue and everything. I think there's multiple winners outside of like the obvious, not the obvious, but what felt 6 months ago like the obvious of Cody going back to back. Like, I think when CM Punk returned at Survivor Series, of course he was immediately in the conversation, but I only think it's now that he's actually become a believable winner, oddly enough. Like, it was probably the promo on Seth Rollins where I started to entertain that he definitely main events one of the evenings. It was only the promo on Cody Rhodes where I thought I could win the Rumble to get there. You know, like, yes. I think there's a lot of, as we've talked about with Elimination Chamber and just ultimately with the status of the matches, there's a lot of ways to find yourself in one of the two main events. It's not just the Rumble. But yeah, Punk should be in the conversation. Gunther should be in the conversation. Drew McIntyre, like they've done.
That is a final four. Punk, Cody, Gunther, Drew.
It's a fantastic final four.
I'd be sat there with my feet up going, I don't really care. I care, but I don't care.
I put this as a little comparison tweet on X in my just like fog of excitement after Cody and Punk on Raw. It's at a bare minimum 2, but it's great that we have 4. This is how it should always be.
Yes.
I use the examples of Hogan and Warrior in 1990, a formative event for me, the event that kind of like unfortunately made me who I am for the people that don't like me in these videos. Brett and Luger.
Your super villain origin story.
Brett and Luger in the double elimination, Cena and Batista in the accidental double elimination, and indeed now Punk and Cody. If you have a final 2 or indeed a 2 that feel like, well, one of them has to win, otherwise the universe explodes. That's the sentiment that you should have in the final of the Royal Rumble, because that itself is supposed to be leading to the biggest thing. It's that wrestling thing. Like, this Saturday or this Sunday, it's the end of the world. And then the world ends. Like, don't worry, Monday night, the start of the new world.
Yes.
Like, that's how every PLE should make you feel.
Yeah.
And they've done that here. Like, Saturday is the end of the world. And then, anyway, enough of that. It's on to WrestleMania, where the real end of the world happens. They've done it. They've accomplished everything. Stick the landing.
I'm conflicted. Gunther, I understand, with all the reports, and the odds are in his favour.
So close last year.
Yeah.
He only needs to go one man further.
But then he's still got the IC title. So,
anyone that eliminates him.
And he can't defend that at the Chamber, which I keep forgetting.
Anyone that eliminates him has like an instant shot.
Yeah.
Potentially at wrestle. If that's Chad Gable.
I saw Miller talking about this, by the way, and he was like, yeah, Jay eliminates Gunther and he gets the title shot at Chamber. And I was like, I hate to break it to you. He can't work Chamber, right?
That's right.
These are things.
Yes, he's in America. He'll at least be there for Bash at Berlin, I think, but until May is it or something?
Yeah, I think maybe by the Rumble, by Mania, I think it's fine.
Yeah.
Maybe that factors into it because he can't do promotional stuff. I don't know.
Yeah.
All these different things swirl around. Just get back to it. I love Cody. Cody main events WrestleMania with Roman Reigns for the world title, but not through winning the Rumble because that is going to be won by one CM Punk in my book. I've had his
I'd love it.
name on my lips for a long time.
Probably mark out.
I think, and I like the idea of Punk saying, I'll let you heal up, Seth. I want you to be ready. I don't want to fight anyone else. Damian Priest is the constant threat of like, God, is he going to cash in and kind of, nothing against Damian Priest, but ruin this dream match at WrestleMania. But I just think, and to circle back to Cody, and something I said earlier with Becky, I love the idea of both Becky and Cody winning Elimination Chamber matches because that makes them both, it doesn't feel like, that's a kind of secondary, we'll do a chamber just to...
Yeah.
Becky and Cody both win chamber matches to get title matches at WrestleMania. That doesn't feel like I've been kind of shortchanged with them not winning the Rumble.
And by then, like, it's almost the easy bit because then you can really see what WrestleMania looks like. So you're in a more comfortable... Like right now, we're all kind of delivering these predictions and ideas with our own... I don't want to speak for everybody, but like I feel like me and you are, and a lot of wrestling fans that are super plugged into this particular set of matches, we're kind of delivering these predictions with our own like little biases and anxieties.
Yes.
It's like I want this version of the WrestleMania card, or I want my favourite wrestler to do this, and in order for him to do this, he has to go there. In order for her to make that match, she has to go over there. At this point, it's all scattered out. By Chamber, it tends to be a bit more comfortable, doesn't it?
Yes,
So,
and I like the idea of the Chamber being, from the men's side of things, Roman saying, I've beaten everybody. I've stacked 3 people if you want to do that up. There's no one. I'm not going to work Chamber. I'm probably not going to work Mania, actually. And Nick Aldis going, no, you're going to work WrestleMania, not bad. I'm going to put 6 men who you've beaten, but not cleanly in the Chamber.
I love that, by the way.
You're Kevin Owens. It writes itself. You can put Jey Uso in there if you want.
Mm-hmm.
Kevin Owens, Sami Zayn, Cody Rhodes, Randy Orton, and Cody doesn't have to do the Shayna Baszler spot.
But he's the best of the rest.
Maybe one of Cody or Becky should do the Shayna Baszler. I'm getting.
Yeah, the best of the rest, and he's got that one last shot, that sort of thing.
Couple of questions. Surprise appearances in the men's Rumble.
I don't want, because of everything.
And the other one was going to ask was who's number 30 in the men's Rumble?
Right, everything we've just discussed is all about people that are here right now, whether it's full-timers or people that at least are going to be there on television every week or every other week with the belt, right? So I think this isn't a year to go massive on the surprises, not like the previous years where you've almost needed stars to make the match feel bigger. Like, to that end, probably just Steve Austin and The Rock.
I was going to say Stone Cold at number 30.
Just like,
you could do
just
Punk.
lightweight cameos.
You could do Punk, or you could do Cody again, or you could do Gunther as like, oh God, I've just gone through all this, and now Gunther's fresh and he's out here.
Or 3, stick Hogan in. Not the big names.
Number 30. No offense to some of the number 30s in the past when it's been a bit like, oh God, it's Roman. He's already been in the top. The glass shattering. What?
Right. Yeah. And like everybody stopping dead.
Is there anything in the fact they were all in the ring together 30?
Oh.
And like 10 years later.
There is something in the fact that, as you made that point, Nicholas, the clock that we're looking at just ticked past 3:16.
It did.
With a white on black on the little tie we look at. That made me feel good. Yeah,
Yes.
well, we've booked it then. Glass smashes, Steve Austin comes in number 30 and he wins.
You heard
the
it
whole thing.
first.
Look, if there's again, going back to personal biases, tastes and WrestleMania potentials, the idea, even if it's just in the Rumble, of getting to look at Steve Austin coming nose to nose with CM Punk with physicality awaiting, well, considering that the 2 people I'm talking about, it's kind of intoxicating.
Yes.
The Rock is a possibility. Like, he's seemingly wanted to factor himself in. I know Nicholas is rooting for it. Like, The Rock being part of the WrestleMania plans, it's starting to feel like an inevitability. So you can't rule out of the Rumble itself. Has Hogan done enough to talk himself into a stupid spot? Let's hope not.
Save about 20 different people from cars.
If he gets one, Triple H takes one himself, pedigrees him and throws him probably.
Yes.
This is not a surprise one. He's just been absent for a while. I'm seeing a lot of movement around Omos getting the...
Of course.
Oh, Christ, he's back. Who's going to throw him out, just for that novelty on the night?
Yeah, one thing I want to do is right or wrong of recent years in Rumbles, right? It's not going to be the most spectacular, but can we have a Kofi non-elimination spot that actually is feasible? It was last year the one where they were like, so you're going to go flying head first into the barricade, try and not touch your feet on the floor. Oh, you've ruined it. It's your fault. It was a stupid spot. I've got something different, okay? Simple, but just memorable. Like, I know it's physically incredible, but the handstand, walking on his hands thing, he's a very athletic individual.
Yeah.
He's probably can do that, in his sleep sort of thing. It wasn't front flip into a handstand or get JBL's chair and hop along it. It's a funny, cool spot, but it wasn't, right, what you need to do, you're going to get thrown by 6 men, 20 feet in the air, then land on JBL's. Keep it simple, WWE, right? Gunther, because he's fighting Gunther on the Raw after WrestleMania, gets him on the apron, goes, you prick, pushes him, right? He can fall either into the arms of Xavier Woods or Big E, who I'd quite like to be on commentary now I've decided, now I've mentioned it.
That'd be so great.
I'd love Big E quickly. I would love to be for him to be in the Rumble, but we are not going to book him in the Rumble because I'm not getting my hopes up for something when he is, in life-threatening peril for returning to the ring if he's not ready.
Do what you like, Biggie.
Get well soon, Biggie. So I have him on commentary, especially because he can fill in when Wade Barrett actually enters. Of
course.
I've got some bad news. I've
got some bad news. It's called the entire Nexus.
Kofi on the apron. Gunther, you can tease potentially the Paul London elimination.
Mm-hmm.
Ducks underneath, you go, please God, no. And then he just goes, oh, bollocks. Pushes him.
Yep.
He falls either into Big E's arms or onto the announce table, which, fingers crossed, doesn't collapse. And then he's like, bollocks, I'm stranded. But, Michael Hamflett, where are they for the Royal Rumble?
Tropicana Field.
What do they normally play at Tropicana Field?
Is it baseball?
Baseball. What about the little white squares? Bump, back into the ring. It's simple. It's not that spectacular, but he's not touching the floor.
What are you on about?
The white squares that they have, the bases.
Oh, yeah.
Someone goes, oh, I've got some blue white squares here.
What, and he's playing like Floor is Lava with the
but-
building equipment? I mean, I was going to say that like Ludwig Kaiser and Giovanni Vinci have already been eliminated, and he just uses them as human steps. And Gunther's like, oh, you two? But
I'm scared. They're very well-oiled men. That's my only concern with that spot.
So like he's like, Kofi's using the baseball equipment to get like back in the ring, and he does. Oh Christ, he's got a bat. And he eliminates everyone.
He steps along the baseball squares, whatever they're called, hops up onto the apron, but oh no, Shinsuke Nakamura's missed at the floor. falls out of the
Face
ring.
bombing people with a mitt, with a catcher's mitt.
Just a thought. Any other? Just an idea, WWE. Take it or leave it. Keep it simple.
Yeah, to keep it simple.
Any other final names you'd like to see in the Rumble or spots you'd like to see as well? I feel like there's Rey Mysterio, Santos stuff that could easily happen.
Yeah, split up the match if you can into sections where you can like just play with the ongoing storylines. You've got a potential return for Rey Mysterio and Santos Escobar. I'm trying to stay on side with Damian Priest, even though a lot of people are rightfully calling the character pretty stupid for entering the Rumble when you've got a briefcase golden ticket. But maybe have some fun with that.
Seth had a world title match when he had
it's a very hard match to try and win when you could just basically punch your ticket right now with your briefcase. Have R-Truth be there to try and protect him. I'll have some of that, please. Yeah. I think ultimately you're going to require more legends and nostalgia. We touched on Trish and Lita for the women's one. So have some fun with it. I think I've mentioned this on another podcast, but Nikki Cross is just walking around at the moment. Have her walk to the Rumble without even realising that she's at 3, 2, 1, and it's Nikki Cross, but she doesn't know she's entered. She's just been walking, just Forrest Gump. Yeah. Walking around, walks into the ring. Mighty Molly is already in the match, and she claims revenge on behalf of Phil Chambers.
Come on.
And just throws Nikki Cross straight over the top, and she just keeps walks through the crowd like a complete dead straight line. Like she just walks.
Bushwhackers.
Stairs. Yeah, in a trance. Doesn't even realise that she's been in the match or eliminated from it.
I'm going to keep banging the drum for Ken Shamrock.
Ken Shamrock, I love. I'm gonna dream big. Gable eliminates Gunther.
Whoa.
Show us what that might look like.
Suplex.
No, ankle lock. Gunther looks in trouble, rolls through, pulls Gable towards the ropes as he counters, then takes a run at him, and Gable, like, single arms him over the top rope or something, but just, huge reaction in the building. Gunther's finally gone. Gable said, look, I can beat you. Give me one more shot, that sort of thing.
One final name I'm going to suggest, because like you say, we've had problems in the past in terms of you hear a theme first and you go, whose name's not on the Tron? Because I can't remember who this is. Yeah. How about we have the person with the most recognisable theme from 2023? I'm thinking back to Backlash. I'm thinking back to Puerto Rico. I'm thinking back, ladies and gentlemen, to Bad Bunny. You can factor into the LWO, Santos, all that stuff if you want. If not, you can just have him out there.
Yeah, he loves it. Absolutely loves it. Takes proper bumps.
I don't know the words whatsoever, but I'll be doing that on the live stream.
Damian Priest is in there, like looking good. Bad Bunny comes out and has a bit of a fight with him. Dominic Mysterio gets a slap. A dry slap for Dominic from Bad Bunny would be great.
If Stone Cold comes in, I want Dominic Mysterio to be the only one standing tall in the ring at that moment. I know it's awkward and people sometimes just go, I'm just going to sit in a corner like that.
Yeah.
But I'm kind of fine with it. If it's Dom going, come on out next.
Let's have, for old time's sake, the great Khali as well, because at least after Shawn Michaels schooled him in 2007, he knows which way the hard camera is when he does his big pose.
And on that note, we will conclude. Let us know your thoughts ahead of the Royal Rumble. Join us.
Sorry for great Khali.
Join us. Belts upside down, Carly, as well. Join us on Saturday night for our live stream for it, and let us know your predictions at What Culture WWE. Well, actually, they can follow both of us. You can follow Michael Hamflett at
Michael Hamflett.
Follow me at Adam Wilbourn. Follow our brilliant producer at It's Adam Nicholas. And make sure you subscribe to What Culture Wrestling, wherever you get your podcasts from, for daily wrestling podcasts. But for now, this has been the Royal Rumble preview. My thanks to Michael Hamflett. Thank you for joining us, and we will see you soon.